What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Critical Overlord here. We're going to be talking about Final Destination Bloodlines in this video here today. So this will be the spoiler-free review for Final Destination Bloodlines, which is directed by Zach Lipovsky and Adam Stein. It's a screenplay by Guy Busick and Laurie Evans Taylor. It is starring Caitlin Santawana, Tio Briones, Richard Harmon, Owen Patrick Joyner, Anna Lorraine, Brett Basinger, and Tony Todd, the late wonderful Tony Todd. Now, this film is revolving around Stefani, played by Caitlin Santawana, a college student plagued by a violent recurring nightmare. She heads home to track down the one person who might be able to break the cycle and save her family from the grisly demise that inevitably awaits them all. So, if you saw my reaction last week, very short and sweet and simple reaction, and notice that there's really no enthusiasm in the tweet that I just put out. Final Destination Bloodlines attempts to revive one of the most beloved franchises from my childhood, and it always will be. And it unfortunately just fails. Cool kill sequences aside, this latest entry just struggled to present death as a credible threat, but finds plenty of time, more than enough time, to inject comedy in places it doesn't belong, undermining every opportunity to bring legitimacy back to a franchise that has been on ice for over a decade. So if this is what Death's design will look like going forward, then just bury this franchise for another 2 decades and try again in the future when you want to take it serious again. Stefani, a flunking college student, keeps dreaming of her grandmother Iris dying in the 60s at the grand opening of the Skyview Tower. Stefani realizes her grandmother isn't as crazy as her family believes and rushes home to save herself and her family from Death's latest design. Now, from the jump, I have to knock these characters. Busick and Taylor failed to establish any rhyme or reason for us to care about Stefani. Don't get me wrong, we're given potential ones like her flunking. She used to be an honor roll student, and she's the only one who believes Iris. Oh, and she doesn't have a strong relationship with her mother, or her brother for that matter. But that last one isn't explored well enough to work in Stefani's favor here, which is a shame because the family drama feels undercooked for most of the film. Another ironic thing is that, again, it's about bloodlines, and yet the family drama just doesn't register for me as a viewer, and I'm sure I won't be the only one who thinks that. Excluding Final Destination 4 and 5 from this next point, even if 5 you could argue was a proper return to form, but our first trio of protagonists do a phenomenal job selling the threat that is death. Death doesn't just come off like a gimmick, even though that's what it is to this film franchise. Our protagonists are the perfect hype men and make you feel how severe their situations are. Stefani, though, is not able to reach those kind of heights because Bloodlines is undermining itself at every turn with ill-placed comedy. Sure, watching with an audience will spark a laugh or two. I myself am considering maybe revisiting this in theaters, but I will not hold myself to that. But this is still Final Destination, right? Where is the atmosphere? Where is the feeling of death lurking? Bloodlines doesn't have this. Death is reduced to nothing more than the inherent gimmick that it is. I don't believe we have a credible threat. I don't even buy that this is Death responsible for what's transpiring. It feels like Death's goofy young sibling or offspring in training. Stefani lacks the resourcefulness of Alex, Kimberly, Wendy, and even Claire. This mention of her being a former honor student seemed like a setup to foreshadow how she'd be able to handle this situation, but it's handled in a sloppy capacity and doesn't give honor student at all. It gives goofball in the back of the classroom. It gives exactly what she's doing now, which is flunking. The Premonition disaster is the strongest aspect of this screenplay. It's a nerve-wracking sequence that's managed to get under my skin several times. You get flashes of the structure being unreliable, close-ups on how nervous Iris is, ominous dialogue, etc. So I'll give the opening high praise because it's the closest thing to Final Destination. No comedy to undermine the severity of the situation, and it's the only time Bloodlines treats death like more than just a gimmick. Now, the kills again featured throughout the film, like the ones we've seen highlighted at CinemaCon, the MRI sequence, the lawnmower, the revolving door, some other things. All of those sequences are brutal and as horrific as you have wanted them to be if you're a fan of this franchise. But they don't always come off well, and I'll get to why in a bit. But Caitlin Santawana's performance is adequate enough. Surprisingly, Tio Briones from Chucky and Pretty Little Liars delivered the best performance in this cast to me. Him and Brett Basinger at least are working overtime to bring legitimacy back to Death. And Tony Todd, man, I am going to miss hearing that voice in movies and shows. His short but impactful inclusion touched me in ways Stefani and her family never could. Bloodworth's words are going to pull at your heartstrings. It was a lovely send-off to an absolute legend. Now, as for this pacing, guys, Final Destination Bloodlines moves way too quickly. It's no wonder I couldn't care about Stefani or her family. This film flies by as if it only had a 1 hour and 10-minute runtime. The deaths come off like morning roll call in homeroom instead of soul-crushing moments. What I mean is, it's lacking emotional depth due to being rushed. Nothing is allowed to marinate. It's just kill, next, kill, next, kill, next. No time is allowed to connect with these characters or their family drama, resulting in emotional third act sequences feeling like it's left the audience behind. Those earlier films, especially those first three, you have to commend them for the fact that when these deaths are happening, some of them, they really do linger on that to really let the severity of the situation weigh on you as a viewer. Bloodlines isn't doing that. It's really leaning on being just campy and over the top with the comedy. And it's a disservice to death. Even Iris herself at one point doesn't really treat death as a legitimate, credible threat. And that's not how this should be. It's just not how it should be. Yes, Final Destination is about those kill sequences, but a compelling narrative is a must. And this is not compelling. It's just for laughs at the end of the day. It's just for laughs. Not taking itself seriously at all. Some would say that's the appropriate thing to do at this stage, but the franchise has been on ice for nearly 2 decades. I don't think this was the appropriate thing to do at all. Now, of course, this is going to make bank because it's Final Destination, but yeah, this was not it. And as for those kill sequences, the kill sequences and even the opening premonition itself is not always believable because this is so reliant on CGI. It's so CGI heavy. It almost takes you out of the experience on several occasions. The deaths, while they are brutal, I side-eye them almost every other time because of the fact that it's CG. And it's not as believable as what we grew up on. It's just not. CGI has always been present, but not like this. And of course, it's not on the level of Final Destination 4. That's not what I'm saying. But it's just unfortunate this is where we're at with this franchise. It really just is. And it's been over a decade, and this is how it came back. I don't know, man. I would have to give this film a 4.5 out of 10. I think that might be a bit too generous even. But let me know what you guys think about Final Destination Bloodlines when you see it down in the comment section below. If you haven't already, of course, make sure you subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. In the description, I have links to all my social media accounts. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can message me there, of course. Let me know if there are any movies, news, or reviews you'd like me to cover in the future. And with all that in mind, guys, I will see you in the next video.